Alex Answer here. It is March 23rd, 2016. This is a fairly difficult topic to approach, the Archonic interference in human relationships and Facebook's role in all this. But I'm going to do my best. I'm going to cover the very basics. There's a lot of fake news on Facebook that is there deliberately to cause fear and racial conflict, and I've seen an abundance of this since 2013. But in particular with the race baiting, in the last 3 to 4 months, I've seen the response. People being programmed by the Facebook newsfeed, talking about wanting to snipe, murder, skin, even burn. It's like some of The Exorcist. Kill, kill, kill. So I can see how the machine is enhancing these negative thoughts and negative emotions that the Archons are feeding on. So I believe I'm feeling how the Archons are using Facebook as a medium to create more of that negative energy. Relationships, whether it be the smartphone, Facebook, or other means. Here I am talking to you on camera, but we try to use technology in a positive, mindful way to share information. But for a lot of people, this screen, be it this, that, it's replaced the real meet and greet, especially between man and woman. And I believe because of some of the basic differences that are natural between man and woman, that for the female, she's getting more out of this technology replacing the physical than the males, and it's created a energy out of balance situation. You also are dealing with people looking into the screen, not looking at natural light. There's actually a software program that you can add to your Mac that will mimic the natural light of the sun at that moment. And what this has to do with is the proper melatonin production in your brain when we're exposed to artificial light. And I would say that includes fluorescent lights in grocery stores. Also areas abundant with a sense of lack, greed, energy imbalance. And so that artificial light affects the melatonin production in the brain. I think I hear something out here. Okay, that was a dog barking. Often when I make videos this topic, distractions literally appear out of nowhere. But returning to this focus and topic, with people using that screen and people using their smartphones and their iPads to replace normal relationships, I believe people can be targeted. And I believe that those can be used as portals for those spiritual entities that may have control over those human beings. And so anyone that's familiar with Eve Lorgen and the Love Bite and the concept of alien interference or demonic interference, don't get too caught up on the term Archon. It's unfortunate that people want to get very literal with it to define something down to something finite, which is not how I define Archon, but a one-size-fits-all, catch-all term to describe this level of consciousness and energy and influence, to, in fact, in a way, describe the entire array of that which some people call demons, dark ETs, even the jinn from the Book of Islam or the Quran. And so while there may be a description available from the Nag Hammadi that is fairly limited, from our own experiences in this strange paranormal world, I do believe that humans living today have their own insight worth inputting into this greater understanding of what is an Archon, how are Archons controlling humanity, and how does the concept of AI and technology fit in with all this in the world of the Archons. Artificial intelligence, robots, human beings being programmed, being affected by technology, the Wi-Fi, the smart meters, and other things going on. And of course the geoengineering. It's all tied together under this web of control that most humans don't understand. But it's a very specific, intelligent attack on the human species that's not just controlled by the Rockefellers and Rothschilds. So we can see the Archonic system in the New World Order and that shadow hand that controls it. Now, just because it's at a level of intelligence does not mean that it's at a level of all-powerful. And so I would suggest as people look at this, that they look at this intelligently for what it is, but not the Archons as some group that are undefeatable. People do have the power to take back their own minds. But when people, going back to our topic, are using Facebook to replace their human relationships, and when people don't know when their thoughts are their own, and when it's clear that people's dreams can be implanted and invaded, that where two people that might be good for each other can be actually turned against each other, we could see how Facebook can accelerate that interference process in a number of different ways. Now, there's things that I could share that are immensely personal, but what I can say are there are a number of people that I've known over Facebook where there has been obvious energy interference, where I've seen people shift personalities, and where I've seen my own attraction to certain people, desire for certain things. It's as if there's more than a few things under surveillance in my own life. I've seen interference come about through what I put out there publicly, especially through the Facebook instant message chat option, in addition to what's on the front page. Without a doubt, Facebook is a data collector. But where a lot of people are short-sighted is only looking at the NSA, CIA, government aspect of the data collection, without leaving room for the other possibility that not only is it a data collection operation where it's uploading the content of our computers, but through the little cameras and through other forms of data collection by who knows what entities and who knows why they have interest in certain human beings, a profile can be put together and the information given to Facebook, the surveillance that they are able to perpetrate on an individual through their Facebook account, it is something that is virtually not talked about, that I think is an absolute number one issue. There is a subconscious reason why some people close their Facebook accounts. And for better or for worse, there is also a reason why some of them come crawling back. And Facebook keeps people coming back. And because it's been the primary way that people communicate nowadays, people, including myself, they appreciate seeing the instantaneous response to something that they post on the internet and on their Facebook page. The downside of that, however, and it happens to the best of us, and yet there are some successful people that I see do not fall into this pattern. What happens to certain people when they have a certain amount of, audience members on Facebook or attention, or likes or engagement, is they use their Facebook page as the place where they dump their content, and they leave their content and they don't put it on a blog because Facebook is providing all that energy and attention. What that also does is build up this corporate world that Facebook is, connected with YouTube and Google, and it makes it harder for the little guy with the independent website unless they post it on Facebook. So it is, of course, still a useful business tool, but there are some pitfalls in that with the people reaching less people with their feeds. Successful people post their content from their websites onto Facebook and people share it. And that's the key, to get people to share the content. The pitfall is when people put their original content, be it video or written or photo, first on Facebook as the source. So thus, in this case, Facebook is itself an Archon. Facebook is itself an energy vampire, encouraging the voluntary input of content, thoughts, and ideas. And so if there was an artificial intelligence connected up to it, which there probably is, there's a lot to learn about human emotion, human thought, what's trending, what's going on in the news, what's going on in the world. If you look at everything that's ever been posted on Facebook since the day it was created, there's a lot of information that can be gleaned about not only individuals, but whole groups of people. And for anyone with the innovation, with the intelligence, with that data, all different types of algorithms can be created to more deeply understand what makes humankind tick in certain areas at certain times, with certain environmental impacts. And I've said before, there is a level of the elite, perhaps above what a lot of people understand, maybe above human, where there is an intelligence out there that understands how humans respond to increased solar flares. And I've seen the increase in drive-by shootings, overdoses, wars, rumors of war, people responding emotionally. With Facebook, I have seen during those periods more people feeling affected by this archonic energy and being really nasty with others. Being very confrontational, very argumentative, being very apathetic when they're being affected by other changes. And so Facebook has been a great educator for me. In real time, through the text and written word, we can see the propaganda working. We can see the politician worship. We can see after solar flares or other events or full moons or whatever you might find to be of interest when it comes to causal factors, we can see people acting certain ways following certain events. And so Facebook is not without its positives. It's not just artificial intelligence that can look at Facebook as well as Twitter. You can actually type in, human consciousness, solar flares, to see how many people in the entirety of the history of Twitter have hashtagged a combination of things to see where it is in the zeitgeist, which is not large, but it's growing. And so, with Facebook connecting people energetically, as well as YouTube and other means, there is something about the power of thought and where we put our attention. With so much human organic prana, chi, energy, and attention going into Facebook and interacting with Facebook, it's only giving those energies, those entities that are feeding on the fear and negativity and heartbreak, you could say more power. And you can have two different people that are talking to each other, and they're not talking like human beings, in a natural environment with birds chirping around them, with maybe like a river behind them. They're looking at a screen that is artificial light. And what I've seen a lot of people are these misunderstandings and accusations and blaming energy. And I have eliminated some people out of my life when I have felt that they have blamed me on Facebook because of all the hundreds of times that I've seen it. And it may seem harsh if I've blocked you and you're still watching this channel, but there's a reason why I see those things as red flags. I've seen how people have used Facebook to replace the real relationship. And I've seen how women have played out the I'm going to reject you and abandon you and judge you and blame you game, misusing the Facebook instant message chat option. I've seen how people have misused this technology in so many different ways. I made another video on how Facebook can help like minds go off the grid, like find others that are on a certain wavelength. And what have they done in recent years? Has this entered the public mass consciousness awakening of Facebook? No. By Facebook remaining online and not actually being taken down by Anonymous, because that's not the system's intention, you have more and more Facebook groups in the virtual reality, with their own group members and admins with dictatorship mentalities. Your post will be approved momentarily by the admin if they happen to like your post. So you see all these different little micro Archon worlds trying to mimic freedom within the larger Archon world, and it's bullshit. Conscious human beings would use the Facebook complex, internet complex, to actually help people connect, to actually move things into the next gear. And of course, we're talking about Facebook, YouTube, and Google, all being these massive corporate websites that in many ways are linked together surveillance aside, which have done nothing but encourage more input. Keep inputting into our system, keep uploading whatever size, doesn't matter. Now we have an iCloud, backup your stuff on the cloud. Don't question any of it. Just keep inputting your data and content and your energy into their servers. Meanwhile, people are neglecting their own websites, neglecting their own relationships, neglecting to put their own information in their own box, and then put it on Facebook. I don't think human beings have really war gamed out where this goes, where you convince even individuals with independent thoughts to use the largest corporate websites to replace their relationships and replace their own websites. And instead of following their own dreams, literally using these feeds to play into these nightmare scenarios. Oh, the Muslims are coming to get you. And they lie. Oh, Zuckerberg's going to do something about those anti-Muslim posts. And then if you look at how fake news works, if your feed's anything like my feed, you hit refresh, you go to Facebook after it's been shut off, and the very first post will be something extremely profound. A race bait. This group did this to a member of this group. This rape, this murder, this lynching, this cannibalistic act. This group needs to be taken out. And who knows how many different versions of this are at work on Facebook, targeting specific genders in certain areas, specific races. We don't know how many programs are going on, but we do know they have artificially fucked with the news feed to mess with people's emotions. And so the solution is to go back to nature. It's one thing to use Facebook and social media to put out some truth, and then we go back to our own lives. It's another to use any of these mediums to be this is where I'm just going to put the content and information and ideas and energy, or to let it replace your relationships. Because I do need to use these mediums to actually project the information that I need to into the matrix. And because in some ways there are some online relationships that I've maintained that are beneficial, I've seen the difference between the two with many years of experience, and most especially with how the very fact that we have Facebook pages brings the desire for affection from men in the physical sense down for women that can just use Facebook to replace what used to be a physical friendship. Even if I'm at getting together and going to the coffee shop, knowing people in our own community, having that desire to want to know people around you. In this day and age with technology, desire goes down when you have another way where it can be replaced. This isn't something that a lot of women have come to terms with because they're still reaping the benefits of technology, but this is going to become more obvious and apparent as this so-called civilization degresses and collapses more and more as time goes on. There's going to be something interesting that's going to come about later on in the human experience. And this is where the solar flare power grid situation, as scary as it is, there's more than a few things that the king of all solar flares, I feel, at some point in the future of human destiny, the solar flare kill shot scenario is going to be resetting a number of human relationships and bringing us to a closer connection with nature. At some point, in some way, shape, or form, I believe it is inevitable that this technological Tower of Babel has its own destiny that one could say is almost all too perfect.